Hello, what's up guys? So my name is Alex Moridi and welcome to the weekly market analysis. So it's been a while, I haven't been able to do the weekly market analysis. That is not because that I have not been trading, it's because sometimes I find myself with little or no time to do this weekly market analysis. But at this point in time, I've already planned my schedules well. I find that myself like I will be able to commit myself on Sundays because I have some little time so that I can be able to do a market breakdown of what to expect in the financial markets. So yeah, so in this video I'll go straight up to looking at a couple of pairs that will be looking forward to trade during this coming week. Which opens today is on Sunday as I'm doing this analysis, that is on 25th of May. So as we open the Sunday, or rather the Monday, the week on Monday. So as usual, I usually start with looking at the financial calendar, so economic calendar in particular. So looking at this week, on Monday we don't have any news. However, we have some news on Tuesday, which will be touching on USD and Euro. So key to note is that on Wednesday we'll be having a very high impact news, which is the FOMC meetings. We also have minutes. Sorry, we also have be having an employment rate and monthly CPI on the out. And on Thursday we're gonna be having retail sales for the Euro. At the same time, we're gonna be having initial jobless claims for the USD. On Friday, also we'll have a couple of news actually touching on the Euro, and I think a couple of other news on the USD. So it's always good to always check on the economic calendar so that you can be able to know what you anticipate in terms of the fundamentals. All right, so let's jump straight into the charts. Now, looking at the dollar index, as you all know, I always start with the dollar index, or DXY. So we've seen from the weekly chart, this is what we have. So the dollar index has been primarily bullish in a long-term trend. However, looking at the current position of the market, is that we've been having a downward movement from January. So the market has been making lower lows and lower highs on the weekly time frame. So we go down to the even last week, we closed very bearish with a bearish engulfing candlestick from the weekly. Looking down to the daily, is that the same anticipation of the market making a downtrend trajectory, that is the market making lower highs and lower lows. So at this point in time we had some consolidation, which I was thinking that the market might be shifting the direction. However, that did not happen. So I think I had this channel here that I was anticipating that the market might be changing in direction, but it broke down, and therefore means that we're still looking at the downward movement of the dollar index. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, even before you go to the lower 4-hour time frame, is that on the daily, is that we are having now, we might be heading to the next key level, which is our H4 4-hour demand zone. So I'm looking for the dollar index to take the price to up until this level, and if at all we can be able to break this level, then we can be able to move on to the next this key level for some little retracement before we continue pushing lower. So now going down to the lower time frame, that is the 4-hour time frame, this is what we have. So in anticipation for the new week, is that price is currently overstretched a little bit, so we expect a pullback to the 4-hour supply demand, or if you're trading support and resistance, you can look for a key level here. So but what we expect is that basically is that price might be pulling back to the key supply H4 4-hour supply zone before we take out the next key level, which is this forward demand zone. All right, so now knowing the direction of the dollar index, then we can be able to move on to the Euro USD. All right, so Euro USD, I've been having a couple of trades with Euro USD. I think the last trade being last week, which I took a position from this H4 supply zone, which hits take profit successfully. So but coming now this week is that we should be expecting projecting, of course, if you're projecting the dollar index to be in a downtrend, then it means you'll be buying Euro USD. So we expect a price to push higher. Looking at the weekly time frame, Euro USD has been, let's look what the price has in the weekly time frame. So you can see the price has been pushing high. As you can see, if you can see, we have very dominant we have very dominant candlestick, bullish candlesticks on the Euro USD. So what we expect is that, sorry. So what we expect is that price will continue pushing higher and higher at this point in time, up until maybe probably this level was rejected, but the rejection was not enough, because as you can see, last week we closed a very bullish engulfing candlestick on the weekly time frame. So my expectation is that Euro USD is gonna continue to push higher up until this next key level. These are the levels that we're looking at for Euro USD to continue pushing up. So looking at Euro USD on the weekly time frame, then we can my insinuation is that we're still going, my bias is still that we are still going bullish. So price has also left some very good demand levels as we were pushing higher on the daily time frame. We have very good demand levels. Of course, these are levels that we might look to take positions if the market at all pulls down or pulls back to these levels. At this point in time, probably what might happen on the Euro USD is that we might be able to push down to these 4-hour demand zone before we can be able to push back higher. So because I don't think this structure here is enough, or rather is strong enough to push the market higher, so I will not be anticipating to take any positions there. Probably if at all, we can also be able to get market pulling a little bit deeper, either on this level, which is not so good. Myself, I'll be looking for this 4-hour time key level, then we can be able to push back higher for Euro USD. All right, so and of course the targets for Euro USD will be on the next key levels, which is the daily or weekly supply zones. So this is the next key level, and you also have another key level here and another key level going up. All right, so let's look at GBP USD. So GBP USD from the weekly time frame, let's look what we are having on the weekly time frame. So price is bullish from the daily and weekly time frame. Right, so I think the weekly kind of bearish, but at the moment the swings that we are having right now, they are indicating a sign of the market making higher highs and higher lows. We have this key level here, which is a weekly supply zone that the market has already hit, and we have another key level beyond that, which is 1.41 to 41.24. So those are the key levels that we should be anticipating that GBP USD is gonna be targeting in the next couple of weeks. So but looking at what the market has already given us is that you see the price action is very clean. The market making higher highs and higher lows, and you can see as well anytime we're making a very bullish or rather strong push, very small consolidation or a pullback, very strong push on the weekly, a very small consolidation, very strong bullish price action, and small consolidation. So I expect this strength of the GBP/USD to proceed in the next couple of weeks. And of course, now going down to the lower time frame is that you should be looking for places where you will be making your entries. And of course, for you to make your entries, should be either on support or resistance support levels, or rather even or even better, there's a demand demand levels. So on the 4-hour time frame also, we had this consolidation of which we had a very fake out going down, but right now the market is already got back again into the consolidation box in the 4-hour time frame. So looking at these the price action here, so I don't think the price currently has the strength to continue pushing higher from where it is if at all the market opens. So I'm thinking that we need to get a pullback onto this level before the price continues making higher highs and higher lows, pushing higher. So of course, if we are looking at the targets, then it means like we will be targeting the next key demand or supply levels for the take profit, or rather for the targets on these particular pair. That is, you'll be looking at the next weekly supply actually as the next your take profit or ultimate price destination before we can look at what maybe shorts. So also to note this, that this particular pair is, we have this consolidation box here, so which might act as a liquidity zone. So price, we might be seeing price making some fake outs here, because I'm quite sure that people will be also selling on these price points. But for me, I would not take them as an ideal zones for to see price being pushed down. So the ultimate destination, we can target 1.4151 that would be the price that I'll be looking to sell GBPUSD. All right, so let's look at USD CHF. USD CHF, as you can see, price has been in a bearish trend. Yes, there is no doubt about that. So price has been making lower highs and lower highs and lower lows. And even at the close of last week, is that we had previously, before, we had a consolidation, or rather a pullback, a small pullback, but last week we closed a very bearish engulfing candlestick. So I expect the same to be happening for this week. Looking at the daily time frame, price is also very bearish. So let's say the next key level should be this level, which is 80.63. So that should be the next destination for the USD CHF on a daily time frame. So looking at what we are having is that on this zone here, we were having a pretty bad consolidation, but the market has already taken out that consolidation, so, or rather that channel, upward channel. So now from the lower time frame, we'll be looking for entries on the 4-hour time frame, and the best or ideal places for your entries should be either resistance levels on the USD CHF, or also better the supply zones. So at this point in time, if price is able to pull back to this level, then we can be able to look for shorts to proceed with the downward movement. Of course, these are H1 supply zone, which I am pretty confident that the market might be able to react to. And if you can take this risky trade over here, which is 1-hour trade, anticipating that the market might be pulling back. So with this pullback, you might also be able to take a counter trend, but it's again very dangerous. It's not something that I would really advise, but also it's an opportunity that you can be able to grab. So the next key level, the levels that you should be looking at is this 1-hour supply zone, or importantly, or rather better, you can be looking at this 4-hour supply zone as well. So I believe those are levels that the market will be having some strength to be able to push a little bit lower. So yeah, so I think that is it for USD CHF. You can be able to also, maybe you can do a fib from this level to this level. I think, yeah, absolutely. Actually, I marked this. We also have this 50% retracement. So we are having a 50% retracement on this one. So if you can be able to take your trade anywhere in between here, the H1 supply zone, I think that would be an ideal level for USD CHF. USD JPY, let's look at from the weekly time frame. So from the weekly time frame, as you can see, the market has been on overall bullish trend. The market has been making higher highs and higher lows, but at the moment, ever since what, December 2023, the market has been kind of, losing momentum here, because as you can see, the USD JPY tried to push higher, but it did not break this high, and at the same time we have equal lows at this point. Then therefore tells you that USD JPY might be in a very important zone at the moment. So we pushed, the price actually retested this zone earlier on, pushed higher, but was not able to continue pushing higher. So looking at that is the overall. Now it therefore means that this is a very important support zone for USD JPY. So let's jump down to the daily time frame and see what price has been doing. So okay, so price pushed back up from this point on. So price is back again on a what, on a demand zone. Still no reaction yet, but I anticipate that with the market pushing high, I anticipate that with the market making higher highs and higher lows, I anticipate that all right. So with the market pushing, so what do we expect from this zone here? So we expect that if at all this level is able to hold on this, if at all this level is able to hold, then it means that USD JPY can be able to push higher from this level. But if at all this 4-hour demand zone is not able to hold, then it means that the market will continue pushing lower. So for USD JPY is a little bit tricky, because again, the market seems kind of confused. It's not a trade that I will be ready to be taking for this coming week. If you're looking for longs, then at least you should be looking for longs on these 4-hour demand zone, or even lower, maybe this key area of support. Of course, if the market breaks this level, then it means that the next key level that you should be looking at is this one. You might be having some longs here to push the market higher. So make sure you are able to pay attention to those key levels as the market opens. All right, so let's look at gold. Gold. Actually, the market is hit the all-time high on gold. So right now, as it stands on gold is very bullish. As you can see, the weekly price action. There is no reason why you should be probably taking shots, or rather long-term shots on this market. So gold is in the bias. The long-term market direction is in uptrend. Therefore, it means when we come to the daily levels, as you can see, price had some confusion here. Of course, price never moves in a straight line, so we had some pullbacks within these high levels. So market trying to push down, but broke these high low, but again the market is pushing high. So my next key level that I'm looking at is this level, which is 34. So the price should be pushing higher onto these levels. If at all we are able to break this level, then means or even this on this week here, then it means that gold will continue pushing higher and higher. So looking at my market markings is that we have had these demand levels that I expect. If the market goes down, then it might be able to come and retest these levels lower, but that is not something that I expect gold to do at this point in time, unless we have very key fundamentals that are taking part in the market. Last week actually I had a very small short from this 4 hour supply zone, but for this week what I'll be looking at is gold to continue pushing higher. So what do we expect in the market? So I expect probably if we can be able to get a pullback onto this level, or even better this 4 hour demand level, then gold can be able to push onto the level 34.15. So if we are able to get a good pullback, then it means that we'll be able to be pushing gold on to higher and higher levels in the market. So of course the ultimate destination for gold is this level here, which is 34.83. So until we take this level, then we can be able to look for pullbacks, the market to continue high highs, and of course we'll be taking our positions on these pullbacks. So that is it for gold. All right, so I'll be looking at AUD USD and the USD card, and that will be the end of the weekly market analysis. So on AUD USD, this is what we've been having. The market has been in a long-term uptrend, although on the weekly, pardon, and to position my charts the right way. On the weekly, AUD USD actually has been in a downtrend trajectory, but now since we hit these levels here, okay, is a demand, is a key demand, weekly demand on these levels here. The market has been trying to push higher. However, going down to the daily time frame, is that you realize the pushes are not so evident, because the market seems like to be moving in a channel, but at the same time in a consolidation. Not very good, pretty good price action on AUD USD, although last week on the daily we closed with a very bullish daily candlestick. So I'd be looking for the break of this level here, so to continue pushing higher for AUD USD. So if at all we can get price breaking beyond this point, or if at all we can be able to get price making pullbacks and higher highs and higher lows, then we'll be able to continue to participate in AUD USD. So I've made a couple of trades, however, in this consolidation. Some of them have lost, others have been able to win. So for instance, this is the last trade that I took last week. So I was looking for price to retest this H4 demand zone, and price did exactly that, and we are able to push higher on that AUD USD. So however, the price action right now might be tricky for you to trade AUD USD because of the price action, but generally the market should be pushing higher. So let's look also at what let's look at USD cards. I think that's gonna be the last one. So USD card on the weekly time frame, price has been in an upward trajectory. So price has been in an upward trend, but right now, of course, despite knowing that price has been in an uptrend, as you can see, the price rejected these higher prices, and price has been moving down lower. So as you can see, this bearish Marubozu here, and again last week again we had this bearish Marubozu. Then I continue, I at least I expect the price to be pushing lower up until this weekly demand. This is where we might be looking for buys. So that is the view on the weekly time frame. So coming down to the daily time frame, of course, this is the level that we're looking for, the market, the ultimate target for USD card, before we can be able to have a different bias on this particular pair. So for USD card, we continue still to be pushing lower up until this weekly demand. Now coming down to the weekly time frame, is that we should be looking to short on any of retracements that come to this particular level. So if we get price pulling back to this supply zone, then we can be able to take a shot and proceed with the downward movement that price has already been making until the next weekly supply level. So of course, if you're trading support and resistance, also the price might push a little bit higher apart from these level here. Price might even push higher onto this level before we can see price continuing the downward movement. So you'll be looking basically for a pullback either to the support levels or supply zones before we can be able to take any positions on USD card. All right, so is this the supply level? Surely that should not be a supply level, but should be a what? It's a supply level, but price has already been filled, but I think it's a fib zone, so should be a fib zone. So yeah, so it's a 50% retracement, 50 to 61.8 retracement level. So we should be looking for price to retrace at least until this zone, or even deeper to this zone before you can be looking for shots. So otherwise, guys, I'll keep you posted on the particular on the WhatsApp, on the Telegram channel as I take these trades. Make sure to stay posted. I wish you all the best in the market and see you on the next one. Bye bye.